Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This video here has been created to give you some useful information on a pair of upcoming online, no-cost workshops that I'm excited about on the topic of farm cooperatives. And these are being created in partnership between the North Coast Growers Association and Tobin McKee at Cooperation Humboldt and Worker Owned Humboldt and the North Coast SBDC and the Community Food Council for Del Norte and Tribal Lands. And over the course of this short video on farm cooperatives, we want you to be able to walk away with a basic understanding of the distinction between what a worker-owned cooperative is, what an agricultural cooperative is, why co-ops can be a valuable model, share some examples that are local, and ideally give you a sense of whether or not you yourself may be interested in attending these future workshops to possibly have the discussion about converting a farm business into one of these models. Before I introduce our lead instructor on this topic, Tobin McKee, I'll introduce myself a little bit here. I have been with the North Coast Growers Association for over a decade. Currently, I am the Ag Programs Director. And NCGA, for those of you who may not be familiar, is an agriculturally focused organization that supports Humboldt County's farmers and producers in building a robust and resilient local food system. Just this last year is when I started out as the Ag Programs Director, started out on this new journey. And I am very excited about this new position and this new direction for our organization to go in, because I get the opportunity to partner with other organizations such as Worker Owned Humboldt and offices to connect our farmers with things like critical funding, training opportunities, and to provide farm business advising. And now I would love to introduce Tobin McKee from Worker Owned Humboldt. Tobin, thank you so much.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Ivy. It's nice to be here. I'm supposed to talk about myself. So I am a co-founder at Worker Owned Humboldt, which is a project of Cooperation Humboldt. And I work with North Coast Small Business Development Center to provide technical training and assistance for entrepreneurs who want to start worker-owned co-ops and existing business owners who want to convert their business to worker ownership. I'm also personally a worker owner in two cooperatives, Full Cycle Compost. You may have heard of that. It's a bicycle-powered composting service in Arcata. And I'm a worker owner at the Cooperative Agriculture Network, which provides cooperative training and technical assistance for new cooperatives in the cannabis industry. So a separate branch. And maybe that sounds like a lot, but really it's kind of a small start for what we hope to be a real flourishing co-op economy in Humboldt County.
Thank you, Tobin. Well, I'm really happy to have you here with us on this project. And I'm really happy to jump in. I have so many questions for you, and you probably do for me, to discuss this really big topic. And I do think that it is a lot. You're working on a lot of projects at once, Tobin. So thank you for being a part of our community and doing all this work that I've been seeing happening right before my eyes. To start ourselves off, I would love to ask you on a broader scale, what problems do cooperatives help to solve?
So there's a lot of different reasons why somebody would start a co-op. Retiring business owners who want to sell their business to their employees, new entrepreneurs who want to start a co-op but believe in the values of economic democracy and want to share profits and decision-making power. And then groups of existing businesses like groups of farms who want to come together to benefit from the economies of scale. So there's all different reasons why. And what we're really looking at in the cooperative model is a more resilient business with more buy-in from everybody who works there. You get the value of the work that you put in back out as your profits, and you get to play an active part in the business itself. So it solves the problem of disgruntled employee and turns it into the problem of everything that has to do with being an owner.
Excellent. Well, so when I was introducing this short introductory video here, I was talking about how we are going to be putting on 2 workshops coming up. It was just a very short series on farm cooperatives. And the very first workshop, which is coming up on February 28th of 2023, is about worker-owned farms specifically. Can you tell us a bit about what a worker-owned farm can look like, and can you give any local examples?
Sure, yeah. So a worker-owned farm or any worker-owned business is just like every other farm or business. It has to do all the things that a farm has to do. The difference is that the workers have the power to make decisions about what the business does and how it does it. And the workers take home all the surplus income after the farm's expenses have been paid for. Um, so worker-owned farms end up looking differently over time because worker owners make different decisions than employees. What the decisions that you make turn into either profit or loss for the business. And so that ownership influences the decisions that people make and usually builds a stronger, more robust business. Uh, Instead of having one person or one owning group make decisions for everybody, the farmers make decisions. The people who work on the farm, who would have been employees and who are now owners, make decisions all together. So the process does look different in terms of just being cooperative and working cooperatively together. And oh, you asked for an example. So we're really happy to be able to bring Jasmin and Carolyn from Redwood Roots Farm to talk with us on February 28th, 2023, to talk about their worker-owned farm that they converted to worker ownership with the support of Worker Owned Humboldt and North Coast Growers Association. So really looking forward to talking with them and hearing about their journey through creating a co-op farm.
And I'm looking forward to hearing updates from them, seeing what it's looking like on the ground now. And so that's worker-owned cooperatives. For our second workshop that's coming up on March 7th, we're going to be talking about agricultural producers cooperatives. So how are those different from worker-owned co-ops?
Sure. It's very different actually, because instead of having just one business where all of the employees own that worker-owned business, a producers cooperative means that several businesses, several independent businesses, like several farms, come together to create a new entity, and basically a new business entity, which is a cooperative. As a way to reduce costs and share resources. So for example, all farms need to have insurance, but when a group of farms forms a co-op, that co-op can save money on insurance because of the economy of scale. And farmers often already share equipment, but forming a co-op can formalize purchase of large equipment to share among many farms. And ultimately lead to the possibility of vertical integration, where not only are you sharing equipment and you're sharing insurance, but you're also, and many other things, but you're also actually participating in building an entity that can handle marketing and packaging and distribution and sales for all the member farms. So leaving the farms to do farming and having a separate entity to take care of the rest.
So at that point, with that particular example, there would be people with other skills beyond farmers. So not only farms would be a part of that cooperative, but other small businesses or other individuals with those skills, like you mentioned, marketing, for example.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, what we would love to actually happen as the result of these meetings that we're hosting right now is that we come up with some producers cooperatives, even if it's just one producers cooperative that has the capacity to hire staff. And when we talk with Drew from Uplift Co-op on the 7th, he's going to come in and talk about his producers cooperative. I'll be sure to ask him, what did it feel like when you hired your first staff member who wasn't a farmer, but who was starting to take care of the administrative work of the farms and the co-op itself? So yeah, in a vertically integrated system, you can even have a multi-stakeholder cooperative where you have different people from different sectors all working together to produce an integrated supply chain.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting.
I had some questions for you.
All right.
I am wondering, you invited us to do this process, and I think you had in your mind that co-ops would be beneficial to our local farmers. Can you tell me what you're thinking in terms of the bigger picture and how cooperatives integrate into the local ag system?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I could talk about the ag system for a long time, but I'll try to keep this brief. So basically, in thinking about how cooperatives might fit here, it makes me think about how earlier you were saying cooperation over competition. That we already have a really strong culture of cooperation between our farmers. Many farmers are already sharing equipment, sharing information, teaching each other skills, things of that sort. And so I think that there are likely a number of farms that might be interested in making the move in forming a cooperative because it might better fit a model that they're already trying to create within another sort of business entity, like sole proprietorship, for example. So I think that there's probably a lot of folks that would be interested in joining cooperatives, a worker-owned cooperative or a producers cooperative. Our economy definitely is changing. I'm not an economist, but from what I'm hearing about the Humboldt and Del Norte economies, is that they are likely to stay strong. We have Cal Poly coming in. We have the wind farm and the aqua farm coming in, more jobs, more money. So I think that the business of farming is going to keep going up, and there's going to be more and more room. So the more cooperation, the better.
Wonderful. I
Mhm.
totally agree and look
Yeah.
forward to that.
Mhm.
Um, And I was also wondering, okay, you say that the economy looks strong in its future, and I agree. Um, and at the same time, we always have barriers and obstacles. And I'm wondering what you think farm co-ops can do to help relieve obstacles and barriers to flourishing in our local farms.
Yes, yes, good question. Because while you heard some optimism in my last answer about there are some promising elements of the economy, it is still very hard to be a farmer. It's very hard to make money farming, and it's also very hard for a lot of farms to think about growing in size. A lot of people want to stay small, and they don't. They're trapped into that economy of scale system where it is hard to be a small business. But I don't see folks stepping away from that. It makes so much sense in a lot of ways to have a small business and to have your family farm. So what I am in the barriers that I'm seeing that cooperatives could potentially fill are if farms were to get together in an agricultural producers cooperative, they could have some of those benefits you were talking about earlier. Um, I'm thinking particularly that the things that I hear are, feed is just so expensive, equipment is so expensive, things like fencing, things like insurance. But if folks were to get together on that, they could have their independent farms, but be a part of an agricultural cooperative. And then when I think about worker-owned farms, there are so many folks uh, that I just really think that that might be a really comfortable model for folks. Work on your farm for years and become a part of your family, your community, the land. And I think that there could be benefits to in some situations expanding and becoming a worker-owned cooperative so that you could retain those great people and those great skills they've developed instead of having them move on and start another farm. Sometimes that's great too. We love to see folks then jump out and start their own business. But there are times when I think that being able to retain your team can have a lot of benefits. I mean, those are just a couple of ideas in that realm of some of the barriers that cooperatives could help relieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, And if somebody wants to start a co-op or sell their farm to their employees, like you were just describing, one of the first things that I think you should do is sign up to be a client with North Coast Small Business Development Center, northcoastsbdc.org. Tell them that you're interested in forming a co-op, and that'll connect you with me and Ivy as your advisors. And we'll walk with you step by step as you learn how to develop a co-op at no cost, which is wonderful. And then also, we're really hoping that this series of introductory workshops that we're doing will generate enough interest that we can offer a full Cooperative Academy training program specifically for farms. So that's an 8-week training program that gives you the foundation you need to better understand the cooperative development process. And then lastly, when you think about forming a co-op, you can think about it taking about a year. It can take more time or it can take less, but it's meeting, planning, learning, and putting time into making and forming your co-op and having an advisor with you the whole time, and SBDC makes that possible, is really just a fantastic way to go. And not just me and not just Ivy, but the whole team of SBDC advisors and other outside support that we can bring in.
Yes, yes, and we'll cover that information a bit more when we get into the workshops. As I was saying, this introductory video is to give you information on these 2 upcoming workshops, and I'll give you a rundown on all the dates and times here, and just know that we're going to put this information under or next to the video here. But I just want to have on your radar, the very first workshop is Introduction to Worker Owned Farms, with special guests Jasmin and Carolyn from Redwood Roots Farm Cooperative, and that's on February 28th, 2023, from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on Zoom. And then the Introduction to Agricultural Producers Cooperatives with special guest Drew Barber from Uplift Co-op will be on March 7th. And that is also from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on Zoom. And to register for these sessions, you can go to the North Coast SBDC site and look on their calendar. There's also a direct link that's not especially short, but I can give it to you here. It is tinyurl.com/redwood-coast-farm-coops. You can also find links to registration on the North Coast Growers Association website, the Cooperation Humboldt website, and find links on our Facebook and Instagram pages. And I'm really excited to have these workshops and see who shows up, who comes in the room, and what kind of energy they bring, and to meet you all and hear your ideas as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all, and definitely reach out to us directly. If you'd like to get more information, you can reach me at ivy@northcoastgrowersassociation.org. And Tobin, your email address?
Mine is tobin.mckee@cooperationhumboldt.com. And thank you so much, Ivy, for doing this. And I look forward to seeing everybody who comes here to join us for our upcoming workshops.
Thank you all for joining us.